Alright, here we are, day 2 with the frame. Got the little heater going here. It says 22 degrees, but I guarantee it's nowhere near that. It's still below zero in the shop. Took all night for the paint to dry with the heater. I left the garage door open to the house, so the house was heating it out here, so I can imagine my bill's going to be this month. I do have insulation in here, but it's not a heated spot, and the concrete's going to always be cold in this time of year, so it is what it is, you know. Welcome to Canada. Anyways, what I got done, I turned the frame over onto her belly up, and I put a total coat of POR 15 on what is the bottom of the frame, paying particular attention to spots that you're not going to be able to get once you do your assembly. So places like the spring hangers here, once you get the spring hanger in, you got a big area in there that you can't really get paint. Around any of the bolt holes or mounting points, places like where the motor mounts are bolting on, you're never going to be able to see them again once you get your motor mount on, your shock towers, that kind of thing, your transmission cross member and stuff. It's all going to rust eventually, but you know, the longer I can keep it not rusting, the better. There's a lot of places that throttle down welds in a capture nut or taps the frame in spots for like the sway bar mounts, the power steering mount, front spring shackle hangers, that sort of thing. So I just wanted to make sure that I didn't get any paint in there, and there's obviously you're going to get paint in them a little bit. Usually the bolt will push the paint out no problem, and if not, I'll just re-tap them before I go the assembly if they're being a real pain. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip this thing back on upright, slap it on the springs, get the axles and wheels underneath it, and paint the top side before it gets much colder. It is mid-November after all. Yeah, it would be nice if I had like all kinds of people around. But I ain't no child. Where there's a will, there's a way. Well, it was ugly, but it worked. 12 hours later in this cold, there's still spots that aren't quite dry. So just remember, kids, when you gotta lift your frame and put it on your safety stands, lock your knees and lift with your back in a sharp jerking and twisting motion. That's probably bad advice. Somebody out there will probably take it. Don't do that. Alright, a little bit of sweating, some swearing, and some banging. But we got the back spring mounts in. These are greasables, alright, they got the hole drilled in the end and in the middle. Knock those in, they're held on with nylock nuts. Alright, and then you screw in your grease nipples later, and you only got to grease these things like once a year. If you're doing more off-roading than that, you're getting a lot of water in, it's always a good idea. Put a pump or two, splashes the water out, and preserves your spring bushings. Okay, next thing we're going to put on is the front shackle hangers. Alright, and they just go underneath the front bolt. Obviously, this is for your bumper. This is a bolt-on style direct fit, so 2 bolts here. There's 2 captured nuts right there and there. So it needs to sit about yay to go in. No big deal. Okay, another thing I picked up, energy suspension, red polyurethane body mount kit. Contains all your bushings for your springs and everything, your sway bars. I went with red because the ones that came with the lift kit pre-installed were red polyurethanes. I don't know if they're energy suspension, probably not, but Figured may as well match them all up. Red's typically a little bit flashy for me for a Jeep, but you know, who really cares? You can't really see it. And if you can, well, whatever. Anyways, I'm going to install the red ones up front here. Hopefully everything fits. And this has the shock bushings in it as well. So we'll see what's in my shocks, and maybe we'll put these in. Maybe we won't. A little bit of sweat and swearing. Front axles are in. All right, there's the back axle rolled in, put under the frame. Obviously not bolted up yet, but yes, that's snow. Okay, rear axles roughly in place. Front bolts are through and in. Bit of a pain to line up. These seem to be a little bit narrow, and they were trying to peel the polyurethane back a bit, so I hit them with a hammer a few times, and they went right in. Funny that. So I'll work on the back shackle hangers. I got the rugged rid ones, same as the front. Zero lift. I don't like shackle lifts. Well, I'll tell you what, folks. After almost 4 months since the day I stripped down the frame, it's a hell of a feeling to see the frame mounted back to the axles. It almost feels like you've accomplished something other than just making a mess of your shop and taking stuff apart. So I'm going to get the paint in the top of this frame since I got it up and ready to go. I'm going to put the motor mounts and shock mounts and all the brackets and whatnot back on. One of these days soon, I can put the motor back into her. Okay, not too bad for the first night. I'm beat. Obviously, when I painted the downside, I flipped it back over. Now I just finished painting the top. I didn't want to do that till I was just about done because I got to work in here and it's taking 10, 12 hours for this paint to dry in this cold weather. So I got the axles on it. Springs are in. I got to tighten down the bolts on the back shackles. The bolts that came with the shackle hangers front and rear, they're supposed to be lock nuts. Some of them are so tight I can't get them on with an impact. And other ones are loose as hell. I can almost spin them off by hand. So I don't know what kind of lock nuts Rugged Ridge is including, but they're garbage. So I went and got a bunch of nylon lockers. So I'll put those on tomorrow. Yeah, steering's mounted. I even put the stabilizer on, the anti-sway bar. I do have to do the bottom crown nuts, but I'm happy with today's progress. I'll let this paint dry up. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe. I got lots of work to do, lots more videos coming on this.